Our gang's Hexy. Let's see. We're getting ready to start the first full daylight turn on September 19th. We just finished up playing the night turn, so I want to talk about night turns. I left my charts over here the way they were on during the turn I just finished, which was dawn. All right, so you have four turns that make up, I guess, your night stuff. All right, you have dusk, then you have evening, and then you have deep night, and then you have dawn. All right, dusk and dawn are pretty much the same thing. Um, Movement along your roads and lanes is normal. Uh, Movement across other terrain is double the movement cost. You can only fire one hex, so units have to be adjacent. And I think that pretty much covers that. Does kind of slow you down. You really got to get into you got to get engaged if you want to shoot at anything or obviously close assault. Okay, night turns, evening and deep night. Let me make sure I'm looking at that right. Let me make sure give you all the right terms. Yeah. So evening is from 9 to midnight, and then 1 to 5 in the morning is the deep night. You've got to get your troops rested. All right, the rules are pretty simple, and you can, well, from what I've seen from this one, it's pretty easy to get everybody into bivouac during at least one of those night turns, either evening or deep night. Okay, the when you take out all the frictional war cards, you take out all the funny cards, no event cards. It's just your core activation cards and some CIC cards, and any commander can decide to put any division, regardless of priority, into bivouac. Okay, so the trick is that if you want to move somebody during one of those turns, you need to decide how you're going to do that, because you're going to have your division priorities right, because you got to roll and determine, you got to have the right division in the right slot on the division priority, because if he's not there, you're not going to be able to move him. You have to take a risk maybe on the deep night turn, switch your priorities and get that card up there. But then what you would have to do in that case is you would need to put that division into bivouac. All right. Well, if you put him into bivouac on the evening turn, guess what he cannot do on the deep night turn? He can't activate. So it's pretty tricky. I found this first one on the night from the 18th to 19th pretty simple. So here's what happened at dusk or at dawn. You see I got a lot of cards that are upside down, all right? Those guys bivouacked during the deep night turn, the second night turn. So they can't activate during the dawn turn. And you'll notice the Confederates have 1, 2, 3, 4 divisions that could activate during the dawn turn. And the Union, you had Thomas's, because Thomas's guys are all on the road over there trying to march to their positions. They all pretty much bivouacked during the evening turn. So they were not able to activate during deep night. But you had all these cards flipped over. These guys could not activate on the dawn turn. So now what I don't know is, hopefully Hermann will see this, or Claude, or one of the guys will see this and answer the question, is they can't activate because these guys still defensive fire or engage, or, well, they can't shoot because they can't be active, but can they defensive fire? I played it as if, yes, they could. I would imagine they would. Just if somebody moved in close, they would shoot. All right, now let's look at the situation. Like I say, night turn's not that hard to deal with. The rules are simple. Also, during those bivouac times, so after you put a division into bivouac, you've got things you can do. You can rally, which removes shaken markers if you're 2 hexes away. You cannot execute any of the bivouac stuff if you're adjacent to an enemy unit, okay? You can go into bivouac, but you can't execute any of the recovery type stuff. You can attempt to flip battle-worn units. You can attempt to recover broken units, which, as you can see, there were quite a few Confederates and quite a few Yanks that were broken that got recovered. Depending on what you roll, they might come in on just straight out on their reduced side. God, I can never remember that word, what the word is for that. Or they might come in on the reduced side with a shaken marker, depending on what you roll, okay? You can also take a shot at recovering crushed units, which the Union had the only one. It was from Van Cleve, and he did. He managed to do it. He recovered. Now, remember, all your units over here in these boxes, the broken boxes, they're considered to be in support. But during dawn and dusk, those guys, the cohesion's -1. I think it is for the night turns too. I'll have to check on that one. So they automatically have a reduced cohesion rating. All right, so those are some of the options you have during bivouac. So you got to get them into bivouac, because if you don't, they're going to be fatigued for the entire next day, which they're going to suffer cohesion. I think it's just a reduction of 1 for cohesion. So the next night, you need to get these guys into bivouac, all right? Be kind of cool if you could put them into bivouac during the day, pull them away from the front. So, but it works, all right? Pretty successful bivouac for both sides in this one here. Recovered a lot of stuff, especially the Union was really successful right here in the middle and over here to recover like some of their guns and stuff to get them from battle-worn's the reduced side. To get them off their battle-worn side, get Shakens off. Shakens pretty easy to move as long as you're not adjacent to an enemy unit. You know, as part of the recovery. Now you can only do one of the bivouac actions. You can't do all of the 3 that are in there. You can only do one. All right, situation. Getting ready to start the first turn. So what happened overnight? Well, from dusk, I realized that there's still one Union unit up there. He was trying to blow that bridge. Probably just a waste of time. But you'll only see some sporadic Union units. That guy's trapped. I realized there was no sense in trying to hold those. So it looks like now we're going to sort of devolve or evolve back into what the real battle was kind of like as to where they fought. But the Confederates, and look at the massive stuff. Stuff over there coming on. Stuff over there coming on. Remainder of Hood's stuff is starting to arrive. They're already starting to move up. So the Confederates have all the crossings across the Chickamauga, except for down here, which the Yanks in the dusk turn threw the Rebs out, except for that one unit right there. But they destroyed most of the other units that were here. Hindman was almost completely eliminated. His stuff, the die rolls on the broken thing, they recovered, almost everything they had. A lot of ones were rolled, okay? Thomas, his whole corps, 4 divisions, he's got them here. He's got them on the road here. He's got here, and he's got more down here that are coming on. And plus his CIC card is now in the game. Polk's CIC card is now in the game, which is interesting because he gets pretty much a free activation of any one brigade to do anything. I didn't realize Polk was that effective. I didn't realize Polk was effective at all. But yeah, we're chugging right along with this. The battle's going to start to form. You see everybody's starting to somewhat get into their positions. Like I said, need to get a lot of these reinforcements on. So when you're playing this system, you might get to thinking, well, man, I can't get stuff there fast enough, all right? Well, they never really did anyhow. And you're talking about through all these thickets, and it's not like these things are freaking 4-lane highways they're moving up, okay? I don't even know if any of these roads were, macadamized. So who knows? I'm sure that these little lanes going through these woods were... the first thing I think of is the stories you hear about during Barbarossa, some of the places that just didn't even have any roads or just had muddy paths for the tanks and stuff to move down during that operation. This probably had to be even worse, okay? So now you got to ask yourself, okay, do I need to shift your division priorities? Which to me, this is the most important factor in the game, is to get these cards right, because you're not going to get, let's take Thomas, all right? Now, granted, Thomas has a CIC card where he can activate any one of his divisions, and then he has his regular corps activation card. But he's got 4 divisions. The best you're going to get on a roll for a corps activation is Division Priority 1, Division Priority 2. So even if Thomas does get that, Division 1 and 2 activation, and then his CIC card, he activates the 3rd one, that 4th division's not going to get, nothing's going to happen unless Rosecrans does it, okay? What they do, they have 2. So you've really got to put these division priority cards, because the majority of what you're going to get is going to be DP1. Okay, so you got to have these things at the start of your turn. Before you start each turn, you need to check these things. I have boo-booed and not, and then went to do something. I said, oh man, I got an opportunity to get this division. And I walked over and I'm like, God darn it, I didn't shift my division priorities. Most important thing in the game to me is having those right at the start of each turn, especially during those night turns, okay? But, well, hell with that. Actually, you need to have those things right every time. Great little creation, great little mechanic for the game. The turns actually play pretty quick. You're going to flip through your cards. We're now up to having 6 event cards in the deck for each side. Plus, you got a whole lot of core activation. You've got 3 or 4, I think there's 4 CIC cards in there, Bragg's in there, Polk's in there, Rosecrans in there, Thomas is in there, and I think there's still a few more to come. We've had 1 leader killed, Granger was killed, and no, he has not come back. Matter of fact, I haven't had a leader casualty roll on the Fog of War card since Granger, okay? A lot of wayward movement stuff. Some good little options in here you can use for the default event, like this guy here, that infantry unit right there, he moved 2 times off a default event. Okay, so that, yeah, it's not the whole brigade, but still, it's 1 unit getting closer to the front. All right, so like I say, we're starting to develop a line here. September 19th is underway. We're going to start the first full daylight turn, 7 a.m. in the morning, and let's see how this fight goes. Maybe we'll take this thing to lunch and shoot some more videos, see what's developed. All right, Rocket Chickamauga, Hermann Luttmann's game from Flying Pig. Talk to y'all soon.